Sahih al-Bukhari 1211. Narrated Al-Azraq bin Qays. We were at Al-Awaz fighting the Al-Haruriya tribe. While I was at the bank of a river, a man was praying and the reins of his animal were in his hands and the animal was struggling and he was following the animal. Shubi'a, a sub-narrator, said that man was Abu Barza al-Aslami. A man from the Khawarij said, "O Allah, be harsh to this sheikh." And when the sheikh, Abu Barza, finished his prayer, he said, "I heard your remark. No doubt, I participated with Allah's Messenger in 6 or 7 or 8 holy battles and sought his leniency, and no doubt, I would rather retain my animal than let it return to its stable, as it would cause me much trouble." Sahih al-Bukhari 1212. Narrated Aisha. Once the sun eclipsed and Allah's Messenger stood up for the prayer and recited a very long surah and when bowed for a long while and then raised his head and started reciting another surah. Then he bowed, and after finishing, he prostrated and did the same in the second rak'ah and then said, "These lunar and solar eclipses are 2 of the signs of Allah, and if you see them, pray till the eclipse is over." No doubt, while standing at this place I saw everything promised to me by Allah and I saw paradise, and I wanted to pluck a bunch of grapes therefrom at the time when you saw me stepping forward. No doubt, I saw hell with its different parts destroying each other when you saw me retreating, and in it I saw Amr bin Luhai, who started the tradition of freeing animals, set them free in the name of idols. Sahih al-Bukhari 1213. Narrated Ibn Umar. The Prophet saw some sputum on the wall facing the Qibla of the mosque and became furious with the people of the mosque and said, during the prayer, "Allah is in front of every one of you and so he should not spit," or said, he should not expectorate. Then he got down and scratched the sputum with his hand. Ibn Umar said, after narrating, "If any one of you has to spit during the prayer, he should spit to his left." Sahih al-Bukhari 1214. Narrated Anas. Prophet said, "Whenever any one of you is in prayer, he is speaking in private to his Lord, and so he should neither spit in front of him nor on his right side but to his left side under his left foot." Sahih al-Bukhari 1215. Narrated Sahl bin Sa'di. The people used to offer the prayer with the Prophet, with their waist sheets tied round their necks because of the shortness of the sheets, and the women were ordered not to lift their heads till the men had sat straight. Sahih al-Bukhari 1216. Narrated Abdullah. I used to greet the Prophet while he was in prayer and he would return my greeting, but when we returned from Ethiopia, I greeted the Prophet while he was praying, but he did not return the greeting, and, after finishing the prayer, he said, "In the prayer one is occupied with a more serious matter." Sahih al-Bukhari 1217. Narrated Jabir bin Abdullah. Allah's Messenger sent me for some job, and when I had finished it I returned and came to the Prophet and greeted him, but he did not return my greeting. So I felt so sorry that only Allah knows it, and I said to myself, perhaps Allah's Messenger is angry because I did not come quickly. Then again I greeted him, but he did not reply. I felt even more sorry than I did the first time. Again I greeted him and he returned the greeting and said, "The thing which prevented me from returning the greeting was that I was praying." And at that time he was on his rahila and his face was not towards the Qibla. Sahih al-Bukhari 1218. Narrated Sahl bin Sa'di. The news about the differences amongst the people of Bani Amr bin Auf at Kuba reached Allah's Apostle, and so he went to them along with some of his companions to effect a reconciliation. Allah's Apostle was delayed there and the time for the prayer became due. Bilal came to Abu Bakr and said, "O Abu Bakr, Allah's Messenger is detained there, and the time for the prayer is due. Will you lead the people in prayer?" Abu Bakr replied, "Yes, if you wish." So Bilal pronounced the Iqama and Abu Bakr went forward and the people said Takbir. In the meantime, Allah's Messenger came piercing through the rows till he stood in the first row and the people started clapping. Abu Bakr would never look hither and thither during the prayer, but when the people clapped much he looked back and saw Allah's Messenger. The Prophet beckoned him to carry on. Abu Bakr raised both his hands, praised Allah and retreated till he stood in the row, and Allah's Messenger went forward and led the people in the prayer. When he had finished the prayer, he addressed the people and said, "O people! Why did you start clapping when something happened to you in the prayer? Clapping is for women." Whenever one is confronted with something unusual in the prayer, one should say, Subhanallah. Then the Prophet looked towards Abu Bakr and asked, "What prevented you from leading the prayer when I beckoned you to carry on?" Abu Bakr replied, "It does not befit the son of al-Quafa to lead the prayer in the presence of Allah's Messenger." Sahih al-Bukhari 1219. Narrated Abu Huraira. It was forbidden to keep the hands on the hips during the prayer. This is narrated by Abu Huraira from the Prophet. Sahih al-Bukhari 1220. Narrated Abu Huraira. It was forbidden to pray with the hands over one's hips.